be presenting today. So just first a little bit about Montgomery County for those of you that aren't familiar with us. We are located just outside of Washington, D.C. We're one of the close-in suburbs. We have a population of over a million people, and we're about 500 square miles in terms of territory, a mix of rural and urban environments. We have been co-located together in the Public Safety Communications Center since 2003, and there's really three operational entities that exist in this building that I'm going to speak to today. It's the 911 Center, which is a joint center between the police and the fire department, the Transportation Management Center, which is part of the county's Department of Transportation, and then the county department, the County Emergency Operations Center, which is part of the County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. And then, of course, we are very rich with technology, so we have technicians and management staff from the Department of Technology Services for the county in the building to support all of our systems. What you're looking at on the slide is kind of a view into the two main operation centers. On the left is the 911 Center. As I said, this is a joint center between police and fire. We have 48 call-taking, dispatching positions on the floor, and this covers the entire county. In Maryland, the public safety answering point function or 911 function is done at the county level. So there's 24 of us in the state of Maryland, so we are one of those 24, and so we are the primary answering point. What is not included in that and relevant to this conversation today is the state police, which covers in the county, just covers two of our major interstates. We actually transfer calls to them for the law enforcement side of accidents, and then the Maryland Transportation Authority Police, again, for the law enforcement side of accidents or traffic incidents on one of our toll roads, we transfer calls to them. From a fire perspective, it's all a single service. The fire department is responding countywide to include on those highways. To the right is the Transportation Management Center, which really has two functions within it, within the Department of Transportation. First, sitting in the front row is the ride-on bus dispatchers who are keeping track of and monitoring the 400 buses that are on our roads daily at the county transportation level. And what that does is, by having them located here with us, those bus drivers serve as an eyes and ears to our public safety community and to the other traffic management technicians. In the back row, then you have the traffic management technicians. That sole responsibility, really from my perspective, is to keep traffic moving in this very busy county. They have a very unique relationship with Maryland Department of Transportation in that all of the state and county signals are controlled and maintained by the county, even though the state has installed them. So within our county, this operation, they control, monitor, and manage 875 traffic signals. And in order to have eyes and ears on what's going on in the county, they have 225 cameras spread out throughout the county as a traffic surveillance system. So between the cameras and the ride-on eyes and ears of the bus drivers themselves, they have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the county. Again, what's not in the room is, and is separate, is the Maryland Department of Transportation is not part of that room. Neither is the Maryland Transportation Authority that runs the one toll road. But you'll see later where in the presentation where I'll show you where they actually have links to some shared assets. So what does it mean to be in the same building together? And again, we're not in the same room, but we are in the same building. Our operations floors are separated by a conference room, which relies between the two centers. That conference room provides a similar video wall that you're seeing that's located within the Transportation Management Center, which allows us to share screens. And it also has access to computer-aided dispatch, radios, etc., and actually serves as a mini operations center. And we stand that up for planned and emerging events. What it's meant for me personally, being co-located with traffic management has been really those personal relationships that we've been able to foster, so that we are not introducing ourselves when incidents happen. And again, while incident command does happen in the field, a lot of the work getting done behind the scenes is done on a daily basis here, and my operations staff on the 911 floor, my supervisors, daily talk back and forth with the traffic management technicians that are working the consoles here, adjusting the signals. And as would be very typical, they're calling back and forth. If they haven't already adjusted the signals based on what they're seeing in the cameras, the officers, firefighters are calling in and asking for that kind of adjustment. So in that way, we're able to adjust to changes on the ground. I'm not going to hit every bullet there, but I do want to talk about the other thing that's very nice from a monetary standpoint, being in one operations center, is we are able to take advantage of shared infrastructure, things like generators, transfer switches, and UPS battery backups that we're able to share back and forth with each other. Here's kind of a look into, operationally where our point of integration is, and I'll be quite upfront. It's not as robust as it could be, and I'll talk to the end about where we see possibly opportunities in the future. What you're looking at is first, the top picture is one of the video walls on the 911 center floor that shows the traffic cameras that we have access to. The traffic cameras that Department of Transportation have are shared out throughout the building through a video system. The joystick down in the picture shows how those joysticks exist on both operations floors, and that allows us to zoom. Those are mostly our pan tilt zoom cameras, so we can zoom in, zoom out, turn the camera around, look at different angles. The picture of the map, that's actually our public safety map. That's part of our CAD system. The far left arrow is pointing to the camera, so we have embedded in our map a GIS layer that has all the cameras layered, and then I can hit the info button on that to pull a camera number, which then allows me to see, hey, I have an incident right next to a camera or within close proximity to a camera. I can then take the information that I glean from the map, go over to the joystick, plug it in, and pull that camera up live, so the 911 supervisor can present that on the dispatch floor to keep track of that event. And traffic can do similarly. From an incident response perspective, so the conversations that are taking place, I kind of alluded to them. We do have direct phone lines back and forth, in addition to the back and forth of walking between operations floors. And really that becomes key with traffic signal control or bringing out resources to the field, if signage is needed or other traffic control devices. It's not uncommon for us to be called, for an officer to request timing of a traffic light to be adjusted, and it's as simple as calling over to traffic. Typically they're already watching the incident, and they can start making adjustments to the signal to help the officer start to move traffic. The other nice thing from a safety perspective is having the ride-on bus dispatch, and all their buses, like our police and fire apparatus, are all AVL monitored. When they do hit their emergency button in those buses, we have that relationship already, so that ride-on dispatcher can quickly call over to the 911 center. They know exactly where they are on the traffic map, and then they can quickly provide that information to us so we can get resources out to them. While not directly related today, I mentioned that we do have the Emergency Operations Center also located in our building, which does provide opportunities for, again, additional information sharing. Again, you'll notice in the pictures that they too have a large video wall in the front of their room. Again, an opportunity again to share out the same traffic cameras, the same computer views, so to share common situational awareness. And it's also nice so that the operations folks that are sitting in the traffic management center and the 911 center have access down to our senior leaders that are in the EOC making decisions, so that we can provide them feedback into things that are happening in real time, and vice versa. They have access to walk up and spend time in the comm center. couple other things that are in place that I thought would be interesting for the audience, some other applications. The top two screens there are a picture of an application called MView, and it was developed out of the University of Maryland, something we have access to in Maryland. You'll notice that it's not limited to Maryland. The map is showing the number of traffic cameras that we have access to through this application across Maryland, down into Virginia, and all the way up into Delaware, to the edge of Delaware. And through different views I can bring up, and I can create a view of a highway system or an intersection, or I can create different views for that. Those same type of traffic cameras, and this is where we still have ties to the State Department of Transportation, is through the Maryland CHART system, which is the Coordinated Highway Action Response Team. The same camera views and everything the CHART feeds are what feeds the MView product, which also is tied into the Regional Traffic Information System. And then at the bottom, I'm just showing an example of one of the public safety messages that we send out to all our field users whenever we have road condition issues. So an example with a road closure issue, so we send that out to our responders whenever we have road closures or significant delays, so that they can adjust and their responses accordingly, and then provide them a closure notice or to that incident when it's cleared. What we see for the future is, when we're exploring right now, is that the Traffic Management Center is looking at, can they use our public safety CAD, and we happen to have a Motorola Premier One CAD, can they use it to manage the dispatch of their technicians? So they're looking at it from a workload perspective, but there's some side benefits that would come from that, and that is the ability to see, have integrated response in terms of knowing when they have technicians in the field. And then the other thing that we would like to see happen in the public safety CAD world is the integration of real-time traffic data into our CADs for things like vehicle routing, so that when the routines and algorithms that are used right now to determine which units are closest and quickest to get to a incident, that we could actually make traffic part of that. And along with that, the balance that exists between keeping a CAD system secure, and I mean cyber secure, versus opening it up to integration. What we haven't seen yet, at least in our environment, is the ability to pull in GIS map services on the fly. We'd like to see that, so that something like the MView camera, if that, instead of that camera layer going to a separate application, if that could be pulled in as a map service into our public safety map, so we're not dealing with multiple applications. That's something that we'll be looking to have happen for us for the future. And that's what I have. I will now turn it over to Paul.